You want to know why racism remains such a pervasive, intractable problem in this country? Yeah, there are lots of reasons, but one I want to highlight is the way right-wing media outlets stoke racial fears exemplified in a utterly disgusting recent example. A recent New York Post article described a fatal interaction between two men in New York City. One was white, the other was black. Based on how the Post described the two, try to guess who was the victim and who was the assailant. Man number one, described as a dapper man, sharp-dressed, suited up in a large black overcoat, brown dress shoes and dark-coloured pants, and well-groomed. Man number two, 11 prior arrests, career criminal, and acting combative. Okay, let's now fill in the rest of the story, right? Man number one is the alleged killer. Yes, killer. 28-year-old James Harris Jackson, a white man who stabbed a black man, 66-year-old Timothy Common, with a 26-inch mini-sword in an unprovoked attack that left Common bleeding and pleading for his life. But just look at how the killer is described by the Post. Dapper but deadly, and sharp-dressed. What is this, a fucking Tinder profile or the description of an alleged killer? A racist killer, and a terrorist as well. He told law enforcement that he travelled from Maryland to New York to commit such an atrocity on black people, and stated the reason he targeted this victim was because he was black and viewed the killing as practice. He also told police that he had intended to go to Times Square to kill more black men. But despite all this hatred, all this evil and racism, this despicable news organization, knowing exactly what they are doing, paint this scumbag as an aesthetically pleasing man who should be admired for his appearance rather than be held accountable for his crime that left an innocent man dead. An innocent man who the Post described for no apparent reason as a career criminal. Career criminal? Let's take a look at the priors for Mr. Common, shall we, that the Post thought so important to highlight in this story. They include menacing, turnstile jumping, marijuana possession. Oh man, we got ourselves a modern day Al Capone on our hands. Did they leave out jaywalking? Thank God the dapper individual with his suave overcoat and brown shoes was there to rid the world of this menacing, marijuana smoking turnstile jumper. And my God, does it get worse. Later in this outrageous racist piece of hyperbole, the actions of the victim after being stabbed are described as follows. Police sources said the career criminal was refusing to talk to police about the incident and acting combative before his death. Refused to talk. Common had been stabbed repeatedly in the back and the chest with a sword. So maybe it's understandable that he wasn't feeling super chatty. And acting combative? Am I seeing these words correctly? A 66-year-old stabbing victim may come into a police station bleeding all over the place, but that's no excuse for rudeness? What on earth were these officers thinking? But to the Post, the idea that he was combative seems more important than the fact that he was dying. It is articles like this aim to reinforce racial stereotypes with a receptive audience that helped anchor these stereotypes into American society. How many times have we seen this sickening method of deflection used from those on the right to justify people dying? When Freddie Gray was killed by Baltimore police, the media focused on the fact that Gray had minor drug arrests.
I'm just hoping that they did toxicology on that young man when they took him into the hospital.
As if that had anything to do with police neglecting to secure him inside the police van after his arrest so that he was tossed around like a rag doll and sustained a spinal cord injury on the drive to the police station. And Eric Gardner? Oh yeah, he was choked to death by police, but let's not focus on that. He was illegally selling those loose cigarettes.
This is nonsense that this had anything to do with race. This is a tax case.
The list goes on. In this case, the killer wasn't a police officer. He was a white supremacist terrorist intent on murdering black people. Yet the New York Post chooses to fixate not only on how well dressed the killer was, but also on describing the victim's arrest record, even though that information had nothing whatsoever to do with the crime. Timothy Common was the innocent victim of a racially motivated terrorist attack, and that should be the focus of this story. The publishers of the New York Post should be ashamed of themselves, man, and issue Common and his family an apology. But even in this alternate universe with Donald Trump as president, that's not going to happen. Why? Because the Post apparently believes that to their readers, racism sells, but common decency doesn't. Follow me on Instagram at Francis M. Maxwell, on Twitter at Francis_Maxwell, and please share this video if you want to see this horrendous excuse for a newspaper held accountable.